Welcome to another episode of Video Game Therapy. I am VGTR and this is, wait for it, we have a new name we're trialling. VG spills the tea. Today we are talking Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay, Phil Spencer hints at the possibility of an Xbox version of the Dualsense, more from Capcom Gate, we have news from Nintendo's latest console that you all forgot about, but first, your PS Plus games for December. Sony are kicking off the festive season by bringing PS4 and PS5 players 4 games to enjoy whilst you wait for Cyberpunk. The first of which is a brand new title. Earlier this year, Mediatonic decided to throw caution to the wind by dropping their brand new game absolutely free on PlayStation Plus. You may have heard of it, Fall Guys. It turned out to be an unbelievably successful move, and now Team 17 are hoping to follow in the same direction by making their brand new game Worms Rumble available for free to PS Plus subscribers. Unlike the classic turn-based fun from the original Worms games, Team 17 have this time opted for a real-time combat 2.5D arena shooter. It's confirmed to have team deathmatch and battle royale modes at launch, and crossplay is available. Next up is Rocket Arena. It's another arena shooter, but with rockets. I'm surprised this game isn't already free to play, to be honest. It was released in July this year and basically tanked. Its Metacritic score is pretty embarrassing, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because this dickhead paid for it. It's bad because the movement is fluid, the characters are fast, some of them can double and even triple jump. Sounds great, right? Well, not when you're trying to hit the fuckers with rockets. On this game, there are no hit scan weapons. It's like playing Farah on Overwatch, but you can't fly, and it's not as responsive or good. I mean, I should probably stop giving this game a hard time, but you give it a go and tell me what you think. The third free game this month is Just Cause 4. This game is unlimited sandbox open world mayhem. It's fucking crazy. And it's free. If you're looking for mindless, over-the-top action hero fun, then look no further. This is your game. Come on, what's this month's fucking PS5 game? It's Bugsnax. It's not Bugsnax, is it? Bugsnax was last month's. No, honestly, it's Bugsnax. They've just extended it another month. Is this a fucking joke? On one hand, it's a cop-out, and on the other hand, there are no other games yet, so... Next up, Cyberpunk is around 10 days from being in our living rooms. CD Projekt Red have released some gameplay footage of the game running on current and last-gen hardware to give us a taste of what's in store. Now, let me just clear up any confusion surrounding the launch of this game. I say this because I was chatting to members of my community on a stream, and there was some confusion surrounding how this game is actually being launched. So, officially, there is no next-gen version of this game. It is releasing on the PC, the Xbox One and the PS4. However, because both the PS5 and the Xbox One are backwards compatible, you will be able to play this game on your next gen consoles. But the point I'm getting across here is that you will be playing a PS4 and an Xbox One game on your PS5 or Series X. There isn't a specific graphical upgrade for next gen. Well, not yet anyway. CD Projekt Red have rather ambiguously announced that they do plan bringing a free next-gen upgrade out for this game, but as of yet, we don't have a date for it. All that being said, this game really does look fantastic. It's the absolute peak of last-gen graphics. It looks amazing on the PS4 Pro. Look at me talking about the PS4 Pro like it's an ancient bit of kit. Back in my day, we could only play in full HD at 60 frames per second. The PS5 and Series X versions do take advantage of the extra horsepower, and the game looks even tastier on those. Up next, did Phil Spencer just hint that an Xbox version of the Dualsense is on its way? Make no mistake about it, currently this thing right here is the defining feature of the next generation, with launch exclusives being a rare jewel at the moment, or in Xbox's case, a jewel that just doesn't exist. For many, the next generation has landed with a soft patter rather than a huge bang. Those people are the people who bought the Series X. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Series X. Both of these consoles are technical powerhouses, and in the years that follow, you can expect to see breathtaking and outstanding experiences on both of these consoles. But whilst we sit in the pre-dawn era of next gen, waiting for these experiences to arrive, the Series X really doesn't offer anything at the moment which will make you say, wow, we are really turning a page here and entering a new era of gaming. The PS5's answer to that is the Dualsense pad. It's really a difficult thing to describe to someone who hasn't felt what it has to offer, but to quickly summarise, the Dualsense leaves behind an era in which controllers were just a vessel in which to control the on-screen action. It's become part of the action. The controller has this HD rumble feature which allows you to literally feel the difference in terrain that the character moves through. Now look, I know I took the piss out of this feature back in April, but I'm here now to tell you it works. I was wrong. The ultimate next-gen prize here though is the haptic feedback. Fully mechanical triggers that will change depending on what you are doing in the game. Firing a machine gun, the triggers will recoil back. Drawing a bow, the triggers will resist, and the longer you hold it, the more tension the trigger gives back. Those are some of the extreme examples, but even things like the slight resistance of firing a web from your wrist on Spider-Man and the subtle 3D rumble of when it sticks to a surface create a truly revolutionary experience in the palm of your hands. That being the case, it was only a matter of time till Xbox responded to this groundbreaking piece of equipment. Well, Phil Spencer has done just that. In an interview with The Verge, he said, "I applaud what they did with the controller, not for, well, I shouldn't say not for the specifics of the controller, but more than just the specifics of the controller." This is the bit that caught my eye though. Phil goes on to talk about how companies should learn from the innovations of others and spoke openly about implementing new technologies on their own console. He went on to say, "I think for all of us in the industry, we should learn from each other and the innovation we all push on, whether it's the distribution of a business model like Game Pass or controller tech, or the Wii back in the day, which clearly had an impact on us when we went off and did Kinect and Sony went off and did the Move." It might not seem like a lot, but people in executive positions like Phil Spencer do not just say things like this without a deeper intent. The fact here is that he's normalising the idea of sharing innovation to the media so that when they inevitably do announce their own version, it's less of a copycat situation and more of this is what we do in the industry. He politely reminds us that Sony have taken inspo from the Game Pass model to create the PS Plus collection, and then he follows that by saying, look, this is nothing new. When Nintendo innovated controls with the Wii, both ourselves and Sony took a stab at it. So watch this space, Xbox fans, a DualSense is on its way. Before we continue, I want to give a congrats to this winner. You have won all of this vaping goodness, and next week is the final round of our month-long giveaway with the Yorkshire Vapor. This is what you can win, and in order to do so, all you have to do is be subscribed, like this video, and answer this question in the comments section. Which Final Fantasy character definitely vapes? One thing that the Xbox does have the upper hand on though is backwards compatibility. So people looking to play their PlayStation 1 and 2 classics on their PS5 will unfortunately have to dust off their old consoles to do so. Unless you have a Series X, that is. Yes, that's right. Unofficially speaking, the Xbox Series X can play PS1 and PS2 games before the PS5 can. Also, Dreamcast, GameCube, N64, NES, SNES, Mega Drive. Basically, if you haven't guessed yet, this is achieved by installing emulation software on your console. Achieving this sort of thing on a newly released home console usually takes years of hackers chipping away at them to make this sort of thing possible. Just 2 weeks into the life cycle of the Series X and people are emulating with relative ease. So here's how it's done. The Xbox has a handy feature which allows you to switch the console over to development mode. This transforms your home console into a development unit, which is fantastic for indie developers and developers working from home because of the pandemic. Whilst in dev mode, you won't be able to play any retail Xbox games, but what you can do is install a number of emulation applications. I'll leave a tutorial link in the description of exactly how to do it, but it's easy enough to achieve and an excellent way to have your home console be able to fulfill both your current gen and retro needs with a flick of a switch. Capcom Gate is back. The crisis is still ongoing. To catch you up if you've missed it, Capcom have been hit by a ransomware attack where they've been locked out of some of their own servers, and cyber terrorists are demanding a ransom to allow Capcom back in. Firstly, we now know who's responsible for the cyber attack. An apparently famous group of hackers called Ragnar Locker are behind the Capcom data excursion. After Ragnar Locker fired warning shots last week by releasing a data dump of around 60 gigabyte, Capcom still haven't backed down. So with that, more details of Capcom's future plans have been surfaced by Ragnar Locker. More documents and classified company files to sift through, the most noteworthy being this spreadsheet outlining Capcom's full development schedule for the next 4 years. With the implementation of some clever technology, we can see the release schedules for a number of games, some of which we know about, some of which are seemingly code names, and a few surprises that we didn't know about. The most notable ones being Dragon's Dogma 2, which is apparently planned to be released in the second quarter of 2022, Street Fighter 6 planned for quarter 3 of 2022, and Monster Hunter 6 planned for the second quarter of 2023. Other titles that piqued my interest are Rockman Match, Rockman being the Japanese name for Mega Man, Biohazard Apocalypse, Biohazard being the original titles for the Japanese versions of the Resident Evil games, and this one, Resident Evil Hunk. Fuck knows. The most exciting of all though is the apparent remake of Resident Evil 4. I mean, they remade Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, so I'm not saying this is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people. However, the apparent confirmation of its development will excite many die-hard fans. Resident Evil 4 was the first Resident Evil game to switch up from the original static camera model, and it was revelled by most Resident Evil fans and has gone down with many as the best game in the series. So much so that the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3 adopted the Resident Evil 4 over-the-shoulder camera approach, and they were both fantastic games. Did you know that the PS5 and the Series X wasn't the only console to be released this month? The latest console to stack up against these two titans is none other than the Nintendo Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Edition. Boasting a lineup of Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Ball, and a clock. Anyway, as is customary for any brand new console, the benchmark test is, can it run Doom? Well, yes, it can. Now, this might not seem all that impressive. After all, this is a purpose-built gaming device and Doom is a 27-year-old game. But for modders, this is just the surface. So, to finish up, here is some solid proof that with enough skill and willing, there are few things that modders can't get Doom running on. I'm going to sit here and play Candy Crush while you watch it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. What you can do is you can install a number of emulate. Mouth's fucking bone dry. It's like I've been chewing sand.